Welcome to Therapy, Tech, and Takeout. We're a therapist and an entrepreneur curious about the intersection of mental health and technology and just trying to figure out where it's all going to lead. Hey, Jackie.
Hey, Tony. How are you doing today? What's
I'm
new with you this week?
Well, I'm good. This week has been all about spring cleaning, spring refresh. Spring has sprung. Had my husband take down light fixtures and I spray painted them. And we had pictures that we had to put up. I've been like dabbling in painting. So I
Right, you're
have
painting, yeah.
one really. I think it came out really beautiful. Usually, we get critical of our own stuff, but I really love it. And it was a photograph from a vacation that we took. We went to the Dolomites in Italy. And so I had a picture and had the mountains and trees and like this
Nice.
little house with flowers in the front. And so I got to hang that up and just some other stuff. So a lot of spring refresh in my house. And it felt really nice and peaceful. I think that we take the concept of beauty for granted, but I just think it's like, food, sleep, love, beauty. I think that to surround ourselves with things that look and feel beautiful are so important. I noticed like a difference inside of me when I bought flowers and,
for sure.
kind of really leaning into all of that. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
How about you? What's happening in your world?
Well, busy, but I have become obsessed with this. I'm trying to find the link to it, but it's called the Oasis Mini, or they have like different table sizes, but it's so cool because it does like sand art, like to a program, and it's sort of like mesmerizing to watch it, like redo it, and you can draw your own and whatever. It looks so cool and the reviews look amazing and I want one so bad. What
is it? Is it like a 3-dimensional or is it a digital thing?
Yeah, no, it's like 3-dimensional. Let me see. Let's see if I can turn my laptop screen around.
I always learn so many things from you. Isn't
that cool?
Yeah, that is really cool. It lights up.
It lights up. It has all different light patterns you can do, and it does all these different, totally different designs and stuff. And just you watch sort of the sand move peacefully around with like a ball, is what does the drawing. Like an Etch-a-Sketch kind of.
Like a de-stressing tool?
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's like just, and they have ones that are full, like they have, I think, a coffee table size. They have a side table size, and the mini one is the most affordable one. That's what I'm looking at. But yeah, they're really cool. I could see it being a very cool like table somewhere or something, as a centerpiece, assuming it works. I love little weird gadgety things. So that's been my obsession over the past week or so.
That's really cool. Do you have like a little sand box thing with the little rake? And
it's one of the few things I don't have. Like I have one of those.
That's the low-tech version of this.
Right, yeah, no, definitely. But I have like one of those like Buddha boards or whatever where you can do sort of the painting with water. And I've got a bunch of like sound things. But I thought this would just kind of be like a nice sort of like, I gotta have it like next to my desk and just kind of, have it making things that make me happy and calm.
Can I make a suggestion that you might want to try to up your game on this relaxing, if you're using it as a tool for that, to look up like binaural beats or bilateral while you're doing it?
Oh, cool. I'll have to try that because I use it a lot. I use those a lot for like focus and stuff for work.
Me too.
I love them. I've tried them for sleep and I've had like mixed results, but for focusing for me, like a lot of that sound stuff is super helpful.
Yeah.
But I'll have to try. I haven't tried it for relaxing, so I'm going to have to do that. Yeah. Is there a different frequency you use?
So I would look up for de-stressing or stress relief or something like that because they kind of change the music. There's also bilateral music, which is on Spotify. You can find it. It's David Grant. So I use bilateral when I do brain spotting with my clients, which also it's not binaural beats. It's a little bit different. So you'll hear the waves. Like there's this track of the waves and you'll hear kind of like it in each ear in a different way. So those are some fun things to add to that.
That's awesome. I'm excited to try that. I super believe in that. When my son was little, I don't know what the track was, but I remember we had to buy him these super expensive like headphones and a CD
Yeah.
player, and it was like these sounds, and it was some of it was like whale noises and like other things, like,
Yeah.
and like the change in him when he would be like, when he listened to it regularly and did other things too. But I mean, it was pretty profound. And then trying it on myself, it's like I really find it helps me for work, so I'm super excited to try it
That's cool. I use
for
that too for
de-stressing.
focus. I
Yeah.
definitely do that too for focus. So,
Awesome. Well,
which
thank
is
you for helping me up my
unusual.
game.
I just wanted to say I can't focus if there's noise, like if the TV's playing or anything else is going on. I have to have it completely silent, but for some reason I can listen to that. So I just think that that's one of those weird kind of things.
For
But
sure. It's
anyway,
weird that you say that too, because like I've lately been like the work I do even on my computer is very different from like things I used to do in the past, like a lot more analytic work and spreadsheet work. And now it's a lot more textural or writing and text based and that type of thing. And I can't do TV for that either, but I have to have sound. Like no
yeah,
sound is like the blank page and no sound. So I found that helps. But it's weird that I've had a shift too, because it used to be TV was my go-to, and it just doesn't work for this type of work for whatever reason. So cool.
so
Interesting,
really cool.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I am excited to talk about our topic today with you, but before
Hmm.
we get started, we want to do a quick content warning. This episode discusses topics related to like stalking and
Sexual
abuse
assault.
and sexual assault and all those types of things. So if you think that might be difficult, give it a skip. No problem there. Take care of yourself and come back to the show, for the next episode. We'll be talking about much more positive things. But I think this is
Yeah,
a really important topic, Tony.
yeah.
And I'm interested, or, I'm coming to the table at the end, probably with some practical tips that
Mm,
folks can do. But the article that we are discussing this week is from Wired Magazine called "Men Are Buying Hacking Tools to Use Against Their Wives and Friends," and it's
yeah.
by Matt Burgess. So it covers a study that reviewed Telegram channels, I think in Italian and
Yeah.
Spanish,
Yeah.
or Italy and Spain. And I mean, just really horrifying outcomes of this sort of non-consensual image sharing, and then the spying and the doxing and
Right.
the harassment
Yeah.
is
And women were unaware
yeah.
that any of these images were getting shared. Yeah.
Or
They
sometimes it
didn't know.
was like they had formed a group to figure out like if they were being like taken advantage of by a guy, and then that guy uses that group to like spread get
Right.
their information and things like that. And I think it's hard to understand how people would balance those feelings if you're with a partner who's engaging in this type of
Hmm.
abuse. Like if
Yeah.
if you have suspicions that it's happening, like that, it's got to be a real difficult place to kind of reconcile. Like I have these suspicions, but this is somebody who I
Right.
trust.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to just mention the other story that was in the news of the German man who was drugging and raping his wife and
His wife,
posting, yeah, and
yeah,
posting the pictures online. He was jailed for that. I don't know what his sentence was, but that kind of story emerging with this, this piece of you're married to someone or you're in a relationship with someone and there's trust.
right.
That's
That's the
kind of
foundation of the relationship, right?
why I'm bringing that up like that. If she didn't have, I think it started because she had an inkling that something wasn't right. I think listening to your gut and to your senses to really start there is so important because a lot of it is done so undercover, so deeply of other
Yeah,
people
layered on top of.
cover each other up that this is like it's insidious. It's like really hard to it feels like it's going to be a really hard thing to stop or prevent. They're using AI
Yeah,
to
to try to identify and shut it down. But based on the volume of
yeah,
um both active users in these groups and then images shared within like a relatively short period of time, in the hundreds of thousands. And again, these are just like two, places that they were looking at. It was pretty scary stuff.
Hmm.
And to think about too how some tools, or some things, like my partner knows my password to my phone and my partner knows my email password, or we do location sharing, and like how like a few pieces of that and then like malevolent intent on the other side like can really like destroy your life, from so many different perspectives.
That
And then also that you think about two people that find this stuff out later, like how violating that would be, like because a lot of people don't even know that it's happened.
Right, right. It's just so scary to not know. They're using deep fakes as well. I mean, like
Yeah.
they're using AI to discover what might potentially be crimes, and people are also using AI to create these like deep fake photos of things
Yeah.
that don't even exist. There's so much harm here, and it's also people kind of covering for each other, coming together in groups to do this, which
Yes.
makes it feel like those people feel like this is a normal thing to
Right.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all and I think the point that you're bringing up, which is really important, is how it's built on trust. Like you need to have trust. It's grooming. It's grooming in every sense of the word, because the person gets someone to trust them and they're able to have access to them and to all their, like their digital platforms, and then they can go and create and use all that.
Yeah.
And the other piece is drugging people and then taking pictures and then,
Yeah.
doing all those things on top of it. Yeah. So you're not only violating your spouse or your partner, but you're allowing other people by sharing photos
Right.
is violating, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think that, I think that there may be some people who might feel like that's not a big deal. It really is a big deal. It really is a violation, and
For
it's a crime.
sure.
Yeah,
For sure. And sharing your location information and
right.
that type of stuff, how dangerous that could be. Yeah, it's unacceptable. I wonder how, like, if somebody's having these feelings and they're like, okay, I trust my gut, is there like some emotional regulation or like a first steps like that you would recommend to people who are trying to maybe
Oh,
come to terms that this might be happening to them?
people who think that this might be something that's happening to them. Yeah. So, emotional regulation is really great, but it doesn't, it's not for the reality of the situation is like
Yeah.
we have to really honor our gut.
Yeah.
And it's not always meant to just be regulated. Just, sometimes what's coming up is really your gut saying something's wrong here. There's a book called The Gift of Fear. Did we ever talk
Mhm.
about that book? Did I ever
No, we
mention it?
haven't. Mm-mm.
So the gift of fear is that really the crux of the book. It's real. It's older. So I read it many, many years ago, but it's really about how we all have that built-in internal guide that tells us, and we shouldn't override that. We shouldn't
Yeah.
think that being fearful is something that's negative that we need to override. In fact, there's probably important information in that. It could be, like overblown, but and when it comes up, to not dismiss, but to notice. So I would say anyone who thinks that their partner is exploiting them in any way, first of all, if something's happening in the relationship that's off, that's a good time to think about what is going on here. Is
Yeah.
this relationship, a safe relationship for me? The other thing to think about, unfortunately, is that people can leave that relationship and take that stuff with them. So getting out of the relationship isn't necessarily going to prevent the crime from continuing to happen.
Mhm.
That's another kind of scary piece, because people might have pictures, videos, or audios, or, can do deep fakes. So that can happen anywhere. I think that the first step is really, like listening to your gut and seeing if you can find some clues or cues yourself that might indicate that this is happening. People put trackers on their phone, finding
Yeah.
out, checking your phone to see if there's trackers there. We don't have to look for car trackers anymore. Years ago, I would have said, have your car swept if you really felt like you were being followed. Now our location is on our phone. So you really need to, and I'm not tech savvy in terms of that, but if you can, that would probably be my first place to start, is in the relationship or after you've just got out of a relationship that feels like there was potential there for exploitation or violation, is to have your phone checked. The other thing to think about is, have you lost time? Have you lost track of time while you were with a partner? Like, these are kind of indications that something might be nefarious, that pictures could have been taken, or you might have been drugged.
Yeah.
If you have one glass of wine and you usually feel fine, but then all of a sudden you've had one glass of wine and you've passed out and you don't have any memory of that, those are some indications that something may be going on. We're not really going to know if it's leaning into the digital world, but in the space of the relationships, something might be
Right.
going on there. If you have a feel kind of, that inkling, and you've lost track of time, you're getting drunker than you usually do. Those
Yeah,
are some
manipulation and
scenarios.
control doesn't just usually exist in one,
Yeah,
in the physical world or the
exactly.
digital world. It definitely can
Yeah.
cross over. And I think probably too, like reaching out to a domestic abuse support line from a place that's safe, from a friend's phone or something like that. I think also, from my perspective, these people who are interested in controlling and
Hmm.
manipulating people like this, I think have a higher propensity to be dangerous too, if they
Yeah.
suspect that you might be onto them or things like that. So
Yeah.
really engage with like professional resources that are available out there. We'll put some links in the show notes, but
Absolutely. That is really important. Stalking, someone that is controlling, power and control, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and any of those things can escalate. There's the circle of violence. So it starts out with some intense thing happening. Then there's usually a honeymoon stage. Then the tension builds. And then we're back to kind of that explosion. The thing that people really don't talk about is that the violence usually gets worse. It doesn't get better when untreated. It's going to escalate. So someone who's like, oh, I have a little inkling, but it's okay, I can deal with it, should really think about getting some support and help, because a year from now it's going to look very different, and it usually intensifies. There are shelters, of course, and sexual assault response capabilities that are out there with local community centers. I know in New Jersey we have, every county is mandated to have a response for sexual assault, and they have a center there. So in my county,
wow.
it's called 180 Turning Lives Around. And every county has their own place for victims to come. On the websites, they usually have a quick jump off button in
Yeah.
case you're looking at the website and somebody walks in the room. You can quick escape and get off that website so they can't see you. The problem, though, that we have is with tracking. So we do have to be concerned about perpetrators knowing that their victims are looking for help,
Yeah.
and to be really careful around that. Some people talk about, getting restraining orders and things like that, but a restraining order is a piece of paper, and if somebody's going to harm you, they're going to harm you no matter what. So we really want to balance out the, knowing what's happening, thinking about leaving the relationship, but not to the extreme that it's going to put you in danger. You really need to get help on board to be able to do that safely. But back to the original point was, if you're worried about the digital space, the signs and the symptoms are going to probably be in the relationship,
Yep.
and that it could, because it's going to be there in other ways. It doesn't usually just happen, there and not
Right.
there, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I would say, from a protecting yourself standpoint, like the number one thing you can do is protect your email. Like, your email is kind of like the gate to being able to reset everything. Like, even if they're spoofing, like they could get things, authentication texts and stuff, they can intercept those from your phone and things like that. But make sure you have your email. Don't share that password with anybody. Like
Yeah.
keep that locked down. And then also, actually, as I was looking into this, I was thinking two-factor authentication, is always a good thing to turn on whenever you can, even though it's such a hassle sometimes. But what in looking into it some more, found was that actually, like, it's better than not having two-factor authentication. But if you can use an authenticator app, like Google has an authenticator app, and a lot of different password places do or whatever. But that's actually like the holy grail, because it's going to like biometrically to you to like authenticate and things like that. So it's
Very
another
cool.
level of
Yeah.
security. But again,
I love that you're sharing this information, and like in the tech space. So you're really talking about how to front end this.
right? How do you protect yourself?
Protect yourself.
What are important things to know? Like I think about like what do I want my kids to know, kind of.
Yeah.
You prepare them about, like, when you're in spaces and stuff, like watch your drink, and look
Right.
out for signs that
Right.
you're not feeling right, and have a pack of people that you trust that, like, can help, and all that good stuff, and don't like leave a friend and
Yeah. Right.
all those good, like, sort of social hygiene rules. Like, those are kind of my, like, the things that, as I was thinking about from how do you, but start from, or like do
Yeah.
your best, right? Because it's like so much, like, and it can feel like
It's
too much to like review everything and
right.
turn off location tracking and all of your apps and stuff. Because like, even if you have like the main, like, you're not sharing on
Yeah.
the main thing, you could be sharing through some other app, and it's a lot.
And I want to share something really important here, which is that anyone in a relationship who tells you that you need to tell them everything or else you don't trust them, that is not a healthy relationship. That is a red flag. You can be open and transparent without handing, the keys to your life over to someone else. In fact, someone who wants to build trust with you is going to respect that boundary,
Yeah.
that you have a right to have all that information for yourself.
I really appreciate you saying that. I mean, I think younger me wishes I would have known that, warning sign early, like, too, because it's really true. I think the other piece of it that's important is it's not your fault. Like, like these things,
Yeah.
like, it's not that you didn't do the right hygiene things. Or you know what I mean? It's not that you had that one glass of wine and none of this is your fault if you're having this happen. Because I know people can feel a lot of
Yeah.
shame and stuff, and that can keep you stuck in a cycle of not being able to get out.
For sure. A great point. It's like, we're not blaming the victim.
No,
And if you're, and this is why a lot of people don't come forward. A lot of women don't come forward because they're afraid of the shame and that they're going to be blamed by other people. They're already blaming themselves. So the idea that other people are going to blame you.
yeah.
A lot of women stay silent and unfortunately stay in relationships where they're physically harmed or killed.
Yeah.
Because there's so much fear around that. So so I appreciate you so much sharing this article, because these are conversations we have to take away the stigma of getting help,
Yeah.
of getting out of a relationship instead of blaming women for getting in that relationship or not getting out when they were supposed to get out.
Right.
Let's help create paths for that, get more
Yeah.
transparency on some of these things that are, happening to women, mostly women.
Yep.
Children, unfortunately, too.
Yeah.
I think the article mentioned there's some pictures of children as well.
Yeah. And yeah, vulnerable people in general, I
General.
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that there's resources out there, and, trust your gut,
Mhm.
and,
Mhm. We're
make sure you
actually
resource up.
Yeah, we're actually recording this. The April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Really? I didn't even realize that. So fantastic. Thank you for letting us know, Tony. Yeah, it's super important. And what if you have a friend that you think it has a partner that is engaging in activities like this? Do you have any suggestions on how to broach that conversation?
That's a really difficult conversation because anyone who's in it and has a partner who is really controlling them probably is keeping them away from friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first problem, getting access to that person because a partner is usually going to keep them away. And then so trying to have that conversation with them when they're not engaged in that friendship is really, really difficult. You can tell them what you see, or you can tell them what you're concerned about for them. But unfortunately, we all have will, free
Yeah.
will. So they may not hear that, but I would still say that sharing that is still okay. And to share it from the place of, here's what I see and here's my concern for you. To really take away or, kind of pull back on the, I want to beat your partner up and he's so terrible and here's all the awful things that he's doing. Ask, how are you?
Yeah. Okay.
What's
Yeah.
happening for you? Really start from the place of where they are. Maybe open up your ears to what they're saying and listen for some of those cues. Then you can kind of go in and point that out. Like, I noticed you said you wanted to come out to dinner with us, but then you canceled the last minute. What's happening there?
Yeah.
My partner didn't want to be alone, or whatever it is that they say. Oh, what's happening there? Oh, that's kind of unusual. So to be a reality check, to kind of start with some of the things that you're seeing. Are they out to dinner with you? They keep getting texts over and over and over again. What's happening there? That's kind of unusual. Partners don't usually do that with each other. So the reality check could be
Mm-hmm.
helpful as a seed that you plant, because the other thing is you really want to be careful about how bold you're going to be with this, because you can lose a friend. You
Yeah.
can lose that person, and then they lose access to somebody who can help them. Someone who's an abuser is gaining that power and control. They are really trying to get the outside world away from that person.
Oh,
So if
yeah.
you have access to someone, you want to kind of tread lightly. I would even recommend that you go to one of the sexual assault teams that are out there, organizations that are out there. There are a lot of them. We'll put them in the show notes. You can look for in your local county and ask them, how can I help? How can
Mm-hmm.
I help this friend? And they might have some advice or some support
I
for
love
you.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not have thought of that. Yeah, no, that's a really great idea. And there are other ideas too about being the observer and asking the questions and leading with curiosity. I think all that stuff is important because like that it's a difficult thing to broach, like you said, and you don't want to push that person away at the time where they really need you to,
Right.
be there and be there flexibly because you know that like they're in something, in the middle of something.
Right. And to be really careful, the answer is not to leave the relationship, because that's not an answer that's going to work for everyone. That might be putting them in more harm.
Yeah.
So to, again, tread lightly around that. Just because you think they should leave the relationship clinically, safety reasons, that might in the moment not be the best option for them or the
Yeah, for
safest
real.
option for them without help or support. You could certainly be there for them if they need a getaway plan
Mm-hmm.
and help be part of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, and trust their gut. Like, if they're telling you
Right.
it's not safe, like, you know,
Listen.
like, yeah,
Listen to
listen.
the friend
Yeah.
who says it's not safe for me to leave right now, and
Yep.
find out more about that.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
great
Awesome.
talking to you about this
Yeah. No,
topic.
I mean, it's a tough topic. It's horrific that it exists. It's horrific that it exists at this scale.
Yes.
Like, something needs to be done about it. But the thing I think we can do is be good connections to the people and make sure that people are aware. This isn't your fault. This is not normal.
Right.
And there are people and resources that are there to help you get to the other side of it.
Right. Right.
Awesome.
And if you know about this, if you know a friend might be a victim of some of this stuff online, I'm assuming, Jackie, we can report it to like the FBI, or like, where do you report something like this if you're aware of like kind of the digital aspect of this violation?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I would reach out to your police, your local
Department,
police
start there.
department.
Yeah.
Hopefully, but like I've also heard where that hasn't been successful. So yeah, I would say
Mm-hmm.
you know, if it's something on the internet, yeah, the FBI is definitely a place to go. As well. And then like I also think that if you connect, the first thing to do would be to connect with some of those resources, those community-based resources, because they're gonna know, hopefully, like they've been there, done that, like in the place where you're at. So hopefully they're there as a resource to help you guys through that, to help people through that.
So I feel like a need to say one more thing, if that's okay. None of this is going to change unless we get men on board who are going to be allies for this. So to really break the silence and to help men feel more confident about letting other men know that this behavior is not okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like women finding out, but if you're a man and you find out, like really do something about it. There's an organization called a Call to Men. And we'll put that in the show notes too. They do some really great work around this. And Jackson Katz wrote a book called The Macho Paradox, really talking about the man box, how men police each other really to stay in the box, to stay, you know, kind of in the stereotype, to not notice what's really happening or identify with anything that's female. So, you know, like anything that's outside the box. And that sets up this them or us kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which we really need men, you know, to step up to really change the face of sexual assault. Does that make sense?
100%. And I love those recommendations. I wasn't aware of any of them, but I think, no, that's definitely it's an important thing to say and worth looking into more. I appreciate you sharing that. And we'll put those links in the notes as well.
All right. Take care. Have a good one.
All right. Yeah. Next week, it'll be a happier topic. But don't forget to like and subscribe so you catch the episodes. And we will see you guys next week. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.